Good evening. Thank you for coming out today, and thank you, Peter Mason and the North Lauderdale Chamber of Commerce for putting this event together. My name is Alexandra Alverez. I've been an educator for over 20 years. I previously served as an HOA secretary, a soccer coach, and currently I am a member of the Ruth Bader Ginsburg Commission on the Status of Women. I've been endorsed by the Democratic Black Caucus, the Democratic Hispanic Caucus of Broward, and the Dolphin Democrats. And I'm running to be your representative as City Commissioner, Tamarac District 2. I moved to Tamarac 17 years ago. I've seen the changes in the city, and I'm also concerned about Tamarac's future. I am the best candidate for this position because I will be the best and the strongest advocate for the residents in District 2 because I am entirely invested in the city. I will ensure that we live in a safe community so residents don't have to experience burglaries such as the one my son and I experienced in 2018, leaving us devastated and having to rebuild the trust of our community. I want to maintain and keep our taxes low so that educators like me can afford to make Tamarac our home and grow a family and call Tamarac their home. Safety, security, and quality of life with no increase in traffic and more programs and services for all people in all life stages is what I will advocate for. I am the best candidate because I will represent a voice on the dais that is not currently heard, the voice of a single, divorced mother and educator. I also represent the voice of the growing Latino and Hispanic population that is continually increasing in Tamarac, who face language and other barriers I can very dearly relate to. The residents of the city of Tamarac need a voice that can represent all of their needs. The residents of the city of Tamarac need a representative that has the emotional and the cultural intelligence to best represent the inclusive diversity and organizational culture that we're thriving for. Most importantly, the residents of Tamarac need someone they can trust. Please visit www.dralexandraalverez.com for more information or a donation. My name is Alexandra Alverez, and I'm asking for your vote on November 8th. Thank you.
Based on past and more recent commission behavior, what will and can be done to ensure professionalism and stability while conducting the business of the city?
So my hope as your future commissioner for the city of Tamarac District 2 is to create an initiative where the residents have a voice, whether that might be creating an initiative through surveys depending on each subject matter that's brought to the dais so that the residents can weigh in. I will weigh in on what the residents and the population of District 2, whatever it is that they desire, that's what my vote is going to be, or whatever agreement will be based on the residents.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Good evening. Welcome, everybody. Thanks for coming. My name is Tyneka Rene. I was born and raised in Baltimore, Maryland. I relocated to Florida in about 2002, just because I was always in love with Florida. I would visit when I was a kid, and I said, when I get old enough, I'm leaving. So I did. So I came here in 2002, worked different various jobs. I was going to Broward College, well, Broward Community College at the time. Now it's just Broward College. And while I was going, I got an opportunity to speak to a military recruiter. And they told me it would be great. We'll pay for your education. You'll get money, all of these great things. So I took them up on that offer, and I joined the military in 2005. I served for approximately 7 years overseas in Germany. I deployed to Iraq, Poland, Kuwait, and several other different places in support of Operation Iraqi Freedom. While I was in the military, my job was a medic, so first responders are always high on my list. I come from a long list of first responders. Actually, my grandfather in Baltimore was one of the first Black firemen to graduate from Fire Academy, and he actually has a fire station named after him in Baltimore City. So community service has always been a top priority to myself and my family. Hence me joining the military, and after leaving the military, I worked for the Department of Veteran Affairs for several years in many different capacities. One of my favorite jobs with the VA was I was an administrative officer for the HUD-VASH program. And if any of you guys are familiar with that program, that is a program that is specific for homeless veterans. So I got the opportunity to work with homeless veterans, figure out why they were homeless, help them gain housing, education, and employment. So that was very fulfilling for me. During my tenure in the military, I continued my education. I have my master's degree in healthcare administration. I also work for the Department of Defense and the Defense Health Agency and the Connected Health Department that connects military families and service members with health care in the United States and overseas. I relocated back to Florida in 2020 after my husband decided to retire from the military. He did 20 years, I did 7. And we decided to call Tamarac our home. So we've been living in Tamarac in the Woodlands since 2020, and we love it. Shortly after we got here, I opened my business, which is located in the Castellanda Plaza, right behind the Tamarac Library. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with that little strip mall, but it has like Milano's, which is an Italian staple in the Tamarac community, as well as a Jamaican restaurant, some other businesses. But the pro of me having a business right here in the community is that I get all the dirt. I get to hear all the stuff. And so having my salon there, I was able to, just hear from other people, even outside of Tamarac, about the politics of Tamarac and how the people that are in the commission and the chamber and the mayor, and they don't get along. And so, that made me interested because I know that I have some skills that I've acquired being in the military and living all around the world that would be helpful to the community and to get the work of the people done. So that's why I decided to run for commissioner. Some people say, oh, you're running, why are you running? Who's putting you up to this? Nobody's putting me up to it. I'm in the community now where I'm gonna be because we're here, we're retired here, we're not going anywhere. And so I put my name in the hat as the first candidate to run for commissioner. I was the first candidate to put my name in the hat in February. And I saw the need, and my motto is always, if not me, then who? So that's why I believe I'm the best candidate. I'm a Woodlands resident, and I get this question all the time. So I believe if the current proposal doesn't go through with the Woodlands, actually, I'm a big thinker, if you haven't realized it yet. But when I first moved there, I wasn't aware of exactly what was going on. The golf course was still functioning, and I was happy because I backed up to the golf course and everything was green and it was bug-free, and now it's a little brown when it doesn't rain and the mosquitoes are coming in on my porch. So I was thinking, I'm like, well, maybe they can turn it, another person can purchase the golf course and we can turn it into a nice community thing and have youth programs out there, and the kids can come out and learn more about golf and things like that. So, but I don't think that's gonna work. So another idea I have is, I got the red light. Okay, another idea I have is that maybe, we could just hold off and wait and see if another, entity would like to purchase it and somehow turn it into a golf course community with maybe additional housing, but not as many houses as they have now. My take on it is that something has to be done because we have wild coyotes that live on the golf course, and it's just overgrown and not being kept. So allowing it to be in the current state that it is just not acceptable at all.
Thank you, Tyneka. Appreciate that.
Good evening. Thank you to Peter Mason and the Chamber. Thank you, Woodlawn. And thank you for all of those who are here for the opportunity for me to share my vision for positive improvements for our city. My name is Carol Mendelson, and I would be honored to be the next commissioner in Tamarac for District 4. I am a 20-year city resident who is invested in this community with the integrity and work ethic to always do what is best for the constituents and for the city. I am the only candidate in this district who has been to nearly every single commission meeting, budget meeting, and events in the past 2 years. And I am also the only candidate who can devote my time 100% to this responsibility. I'm running for office to be an asset to the city and to the commission and to be a voice for the residents. I am accessible, available, and respond to issues in a timely manner. While safety and security are always my highest priorities, there are 3 areas of great importance and are the reasons that I'm pursuing this important responsibility. Number 1, civility. As a former administrator in the Broward Public Schools, working predominantly in the low-performing schools, I achieved decency and respect with compromise for more than 28 years. The lack of civility among commission members and continuous bickering prevents city business from being handled in a timely manner. I will strive to restore professionalism on the dais and make sure that the voices of Tamarac residents are heard. Number 2, fiscal accountability. As your commissioner, I will keep close tabs on the appropriate budgeting and spending of taxpayer dollars. Elected officials work for us, not to award themselves generous perks. I will advocate for the creation of an oversight committee at no cost to review expenditures as a safeguard. I vehemently oppose taking taxpayer money from the residents who are already struggling under the weight of rising inflation to line the pockets of some for non-essentials. 3, effective communication. Communication with residents is imperative, and residents must feel that your voice is heard and that your input on city issues is valued. As your commissioner, I will work to improve communication through all available means. We are a beautifully diverse city, yet our city has changed over the past 20 years. While we owe a debt of gratitude to our senior population, for without them there would be no Tamarac, so thank you. We must also embrace the new families moving to our city, where the median age currently is 48. There are numerous issues to address, including affordable housing, economic development, homeless population, environmental concerns, and so much more. We have work to do, and I do not take that responsibility lightly. My vision is for a continuing, prosperous, safe city, committed to meeting the diverse needs for our future, our children's future, and our grandchildren to ensure Tamarac will always be the city for your life. Thank you.
So the city commission hearings have become a circus. What new approach is needed?
Yes, the commission has become a circus. It needs decorum, it needs respect, and it requires decency. It also needs to have workshops whereby items are discussed in advance so that it doesn't become that circus when it is at the commission meeting. With a new commission coming up shortly, I predict, without my crystal ball, that there will be changes and that people will learn how to be collegial and discuss issues for the good of the city. I also recommend that totally separate from city issues, because the sunshine laws, that if needed, there is some sort of conflict mediation, some training, professional development in how to address one another if needed. As leaders, we have to rise to a higher standard, and that needs to be the expectation for everyone on the commission, and the residents expect it.
Appreciate the chamber for doing this. I appreciate everybody who's here tonight, and of course, Joe and all of Woodmark for giving us this place to do that, and of course. Basically, many people know me, but for those who may not, I'm a native New Yorker who's come down here since 1978. My grandparents lived here. I had the pleasure of coming down since 78. We won't do the math. But I moved down officially July 4th, 1994, and I said I was going to come to Tamarac and live here for 1 year, because at that time, there wasn't much going past university. There wasn't much growth. It didn't seem to have any energy. And I'm here 28 years later, and I'm very excited with the energy that has been established by people coming to our city, people who have decided to stay in our city and invest in our city. I am very invested into the city. I'm a lawyer, I have my business here, I'm a mediator as well. I have my home, and I haven't gone anywhere else. I've had the opportunity, and I've decided that Tamarac is home. Tamarac Tours, I want to make it live, work, and play. One of the things I asked when I first got on the commission, why aren't there any gym classes after 7 p.m.? There's nothing for those of us who work. I'm happy to say that because we've grown older, we've gotten younger as we've grown older, we now have gym classes. Our community center stays until 9. We have more classes. By seeing our community evolve and grow, we've been able to know that we have more services to give. Some of that requires the input from the residents, and there's been a lot that I've learned on the almost 12 years on the commission, and how to get input, how to get consensus, how to work with other agencies to bring in economic development, to bring in new businesses, help new businesses grow, whether it's Amazon or specialty automotive, or even for our hospital to grow and change and to survive to take care of our residents and our visitors. Also, when we were dealing with having our schools, we have no control over our schools, but we have grown an economic and educational stakeholders group. So bring in growth and being in that communication with our schools to help our children get the information that they need. As many may know, I'm on the Affordable Housing Committee for Broward County. I'm actually the chair. I'm very happy that the commission was able to put forth the consensus. We are looking to do things to help people who are also renters. I serve on the Water Advisory Board. I served in the Broward Leadership for Climate Control. And basically, I have had the pleasure of doing a lot, but there's still many stuff that needs to be done. Colony West has been a great investment in the city. It's self-sustaining. More growth needs to be done. Smart growth. Just because we can doesn't mean we should. We need to make sure we're doing it and listening. And there's some great green initiatives to bring in and helping new business, but we also figure out on a budget how to do it. We have to be smart with our dollars. Our dollars are limited. We are fortunate to get some funding from the state. How do we leverage those dollars to make sure we have continual growth? It's very easy to stand up here and say a lot of things, but the reality is this job is for not just one person. It is the commission. We do things as a whole. And I welcome going back to workshops. I welcome for people to come have input. We've had a very difficult 3-4 years. COVID changed the way we did things, but we can modify and do things together. I'm proud to have been able to cut the $15,000 spending travel budget. I tried to get the $700,000. That didn't work, it didn't succeed. I've also been very happy that the $25,000 personal initiative account that had absolutely no procurement policies in place is gone. It's been reduced down to the budget that was original before it went up. Many things and more. I can stand here for hours, but I know we don't have that time. All I can say is it's a privilege to serve the city of Tamarac, and I look forward to continue to grow our city in a very smart way with your support. Thank you.
What is your issue that you would like to address if you get elected?
I think I just spoke about that. Basically, there's a lot of issues. Everything to make sure that our city continues to grow in a smart way, where everybody can feel comfortable, feel safe, know that the city is there for them, and continue being out and about and addressing the needs of the city, whether it's for our seniors and making sure that they get the services that they need through the programs that we already have. We've got really good programs in place, and working on some of our technology and being able to let people know the services we have. Sometimes people are not yet aware of what we have, and sometimes you have to think about the city and the time and the place, and then realize we can make criticisms of the stuff of the past, but the reality is the things we have now we didn't have then. So how do we work it all together and bring all the great stuff that we've got going on to work on all the issues that I've expressed? Because there's not just a 1 minute enough to be able to tell you all the great things I want to be able to do with a good commission.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Mike Ellen. I am the Vice Mayor and District 2 Commissioner for the City of Tamarac. It's been an honor and a pleasure to serve the city over the last 3 years, and I look forward to and hope to serve as mayor in the next 4 years. Just about me personally, I'm the son of Haitian immigrants, born and raised in Brooklyn, New York, one out of 6 children. Grew up in a difficult environment, poverty, boulevard housing projects, in the middle of the crack era, so it was a very dangerous time. My parents worked hard, they sacrificed, and we moved from, a very dangerous neighborhood in Brooklyn, New York, to then all of a sudden living in Plantation, Florida. So it was a very different lifestyle, but it was definitely an improved lifestyle, and I could see the sacrifices that my parents made to give me the opportunity to stand here before you today. So graduated from Plantation High School, didn't do too well, so I had to go to Broward Community College. Went to Morris Brown College in Atlanta. While I was there, I studied abroad at the University of Ghana in West Africa for 6 months. In 1999, I studied abroad at the American Intercontinental University in London, England. After graduating, I took a job as an energy analyst with Enron in Houston. At the time, Enron was the 7th highest corporation in America, and all of a sudden it collapsed. And it collapsed because the CEO, the CFO, and other leaders of the organization basically lied about the numbers. And when I worked there, I thought I was at a cult because I was reading articles in the Wall Street Journal and Fortune magazine, and they were talking about all the bad things that were happening. And I was listening to the CEO and the CFO, and they were talking about the good things that were happening. And then we saw what was really true. And when I first got on the commission, it was a cult-like atmosphere. I kind of knew that the city manager was not being honest about the numbers. But people viewed him as someone that would not lie or could not be touched. And sometimes, especially if you have kids, your kids are lying to you, but you may not be able to prove it. And that was the case there. And unfortunately, he participated in a $3.4 million extortion scheme, and I led the effort to fire him. And he was fired with a 4-1 vote, with only the mayor voting to keep him. After that, I asked to have a forensic audit to uncover any potential financial crimes he may have committed. And again, that did not pass. So I've led the effort to try to have transparency and accountability, and I've led the effort to listen to the call of the residents. During the pandemic, when residents were struggling to pay bills, they were losing their jobs, I led the effort and got the city commission to set aside $250,000 to give to residents who are in need that didn't qualify for the federal program. When residents of a particular community stayed up till 5 o'clock in the morning to demand that we vote a certain way on a project, I saw young kids in the audience, parents there with their kids. So I ordered probably 10 or 11 boxes of pizza so people who wanted to stay in the meeting all night could eat and participate in the rest of the meeting because they wanted their voice to be heard. When residents of the Bermuda Club complained about their board, they said they wanted to meet with me. I said, hey, let's meet in my office. They said, we don't want to meet in the office because we don't trust one of the members of the commission. We think that person is helping to conspire against us. So they met at my office in Sunrise. And I was able to help them work through how to try to change the board and take over the leadership. What I want to do in the city of Tamarac is make sure we're a city that's truly a place where you can live, work, and play. I want to have an office of senior health and wellness. We have a great senior community, but there are some seniors who live by themselves. They don't have support, and we need to establish an office where they can rely on the city so we can provide them with the resources and programs so that they can live their lives in some dignity.
Mention a strength that qualifies you for this position.
I would say honesty, integrity, and the ability to assess a situation, look at someone's character, and determine whether or not they're the best fit to lead the organization. So for many years, I questioned some of the decisions that the city manager made that were not in the best interest of the residents. like establishing a storage facility right across the street from one of our premier communities in the Woodlands, like building a hotel in Woodmont that the residents did not want. So being able to assess and discern someone's leadership qualities and ability and make the best decision that the residents desire.
Good evening, everybody. First off, I want to thank my wife and unconditionally through this campaign that supported me. And I think that's a very important aspect. Talk a little bit about background first. My background's been pretty diverse, but over the past 35 years, I've been in the financial business. Whether that's been within my own financial planning practice when I started, to moving on to retirement specialist in wholesaling for Oppenheimer Funds, J&W Supplement, which are under different names now because times change. And then moving on into my own business as a third-party administrator for pension plans. And I do work on the private sector, so there's absolutely no correlation to conflicts of interest at all with what I do for business. From a charitable standpoint, I do a lot with Rotary International. Is a big advocate for youth. Been chair of the Rotary Youth Exchange, currently in this district, as well as the multi-district, which incorporates Georgia and Florida, as well as the North American Youth Exchange Network, the chair of learning and development there, which incorporated U.S., Canada, and Mexico. So I'm well aware of things that need to take place in running a community and a service. So I'm here to stay. The other aspects too I want to bring into play is that my current dedication to the city and residents. I've been well involved with this city and the residents. Tamarac University graduate, on to the Citizens on Patrol. I spent and volunteered my time looking out for residents in the community through the police program back then. Past planning board member, and I currently sit as a trustee on the police pension fund. And I went ahead and got certified as a CPPT on that as well. So I'm running a bare bones campaign, real grassroots campaign. What does that mean? I don't want endorsements by any city commissioners because I don't want to be beholden to anybody. I want to represent our residents and on an unbiased note. What I stand for, bottom line, is really truth. When it comes down to it, it's the truth of what we do for our residents that are going to make a difference in the long term, the success of the city and the success of our residents in building a vibrant community. Safety for our residents, visitors, and businesses is a key and really important aspect. We want it to be safe for people to walk around at night. I want it to be safe for my wife to be able to go out at night, and I don't have to worry. So we want to keep safety of our residents as a forefront. Transparency and fiscal responsibility, smart growth of our city and planning is a must. And communication to the residents is education communication. Let me go that route.
Excuse me.
And for District 4 especially, but yield to residents. What's the yield to the residents? I don't think anybody's ever told truly what you're going to benefit from our action, well, hopefully our future actions from the commission. So I want to bring that to the table as well. I want to be a voice advocate for those that do not have a voice. Our elderly, there's a lot of elder abuse that goes on. Our children, our homeless, and our animals. My wife is a huge advocate for the animals. And
what should be cut from the budget?
It's a good question. Obviously, I've sat in the budget meetings, I do sit in all the meetings as well. And, I think, let's look at us first. The car allowance. Good place to start. I think there's ways that we can certainly make something beneficial for the commission as well as the residents and representing them. But, bottom line with it all, listen, I want to earn your respect. I want to earn your vote in this commission for District 4.
I'm Stuart Mendelson. I'm running to be the commissioner in District 2. I'll tell you why I'm running and why I'm the best candidate. I'm uniquely suited for this position because for 41 years I practiced law as a trial and appellate lawyer, and about a quarter of my practice was representing cities and city officials. So I have a familiarity with the business of municipalities, with how cities operate, that nobody who's in my race could possibly have. I have dealt with federal, state, local charters, constitutions, laws, codes, and I understand how good cities run, and I understand how cities can go wrong. And it would appear that the city of Tamarac is in trouble. Our city manager was removed by a 4-to-1 vote from office after he was charged with several felonies, and we have no idea where that case is headed. And then the city itself has come under scrutiny for the way the commissioners treat each other during the commission meetings, and for these things like the travel allowance, the $700 a month car allowance. So the city needs help, and my background gives me the experience to help the city. I have a breadth of knowledge that nobody else in this race has. And what Tamarac needs that I have is I have the ability to disagree without being disagreeable, something the city commission learns to need. I've lived in Tamarac for 25 years, so I know the city's history, I know what it's doing right, I know what it's doing wrong, but I have roots in this community. And I don't believe anybody in my race has a similar background in Tamarac. Now, actions speak louder than words. Anybody can get up here and say, I support the philosophy or the vision of the Chamber of Commerce. If you look at the finance documents, my disclosure documents filed with the city, you can go online and see them, or you can go to the city clerk's office, you would find that 100% of my expenditures have been made locally, and that's for everything in my campaign. The things are produced locally, and I purchase them locally. As opposed to other people who are in my race, if you pull their disclosures, you'll see that one of them purchased printed materials from Arlington, Texas, and another fill out the disclosure forms so you can't tell where they purchased anything. But they're here at a Chamber of Commerce meeting, and I find it very interesting. I know a lot about small business because from 1987 until I retired in 2019, I operated a small business. I had never had more than 4 full-time employees, yet my office tried some major litigation. I've had trials and appeals of a major scale with that core group of people, but I know how to operate a small business, but I know what small businesses are about. Small businesses are important because they provide jobs for people, and they provide labor, materials, and other things that communities need. If you don't have a good small business base, you're not going to have a good community. So as a city commissioner, one of the first things I would do would be to create a sheltered market program. Tamarac does not have one, it needs one. Broward County has one, and I would fashion Tamarac's program after that program. What it does is it takes certain purchases and sets them aside to be bid on by local small business. And this nurtures small business. It's good for the community, it's good for the small businesses, and it's good for the future of the community.
What area of development do you want to see in the next 5 years?
Area of development? I assume you need in Tamarac. In Tamarac, we need less development. The city's overdeveloped. And We can't be dumping more cars onto McNabb or commercial, that's for sure. And the city needs to figure out some way, it's overbuilt moderate income housing, and we have a surplus of it, but the city has continued to build more of it. I don't know why, but that's what they've been doing. But what we actually do need is to create development that includes homes for people that are low income or very low income, and it has to be mixed in with other types of development, because you can't have that be self-sustaining. That's red too.
I'm Kicia Daniel. I've been a resident of Tamarac for over 10 years. I love it here. I love this city. I love the community I live in. My husband and I plan to retire here. However, I have 2 young boys, and there's just not a lot for them to engage in. Luckily, they like sports. So if I sign up enough, quickly enough, they'll get into sports. So that was one of the things that led me to run. One, to keep Tamarac the culture the way it is, and to develop it more for the younger generation coming up as well. Not to take anything away, because I'm closer to retirement, but every time I think about it, I smile. So I definitely want everything to stay in place for that. But to make it more efficient for young kids, I'm a principal. I'm what's known as a turnaround principal. My first job as a principal, I got a school that was a D for 4 years, and it serviced Tamarac students. Pinewood Elementary was in the paper. The governor was going to shut it down if the grade did not go up. In 1 year, while I was pregnant with my second child, I moved it from a D from 4 years to a B, 2 points from an A. The second year, I moved it to an A. The third year, it was the top performing school in mathematics in Broward County. It was in the top 3% in the state of Florida. I've been recognized for my work in leadership. I have a doctorate degree in leadership as well. Now the state asked me to go to another school, which was an F. And in 1 year, last year my first year there, it's in Pompano, it moved from an F to 2 points to a B. This year we're trying to get to an A. And I say that to say, I'm very result driven. When I believe in something, I give it my all and make sure I get the type of result the community is expecting and what's best for children. I'm always for the underdog, for those who are in need. I'm the type of person, I've always been a public servant. When I told my dad I wanted to be a teacher, he's like, what? That's public service. You'll never make money. But when it's in your heart to serve, that's what you do. And that's what I'll bring to Tamarac and to you as residents of Tamarac, is that servant spirit, to make sure everyone who lives in the community, especially in District 4 where I live, get what they need from the city, the services they desire. One of the things I sense might be happening with the housing property going up so high, the price of housing. My husband is a builder. He's he is a construction manager with Pulte, and the prices are so ridiculously high, and our income is not going up. Like I don't see a significant raise. And I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
No questions.
Okay. So my thing is, what's going to happen in a few years when more people can't afford to live in Tamarac, which is known to be, an affordable city, right? Are people going to lose their homes? Because I've experienced that before. Is that what's going to happen? So as commissioner, I want to be proactive and make sure we have business and services partnering with the city. So residents that are in trouble or could possibly be in trouble will have an accountant, a lawyer, a financial person who could talk to them and tell them, this is how you save your home. Because I don't want anyone to go through that. And make it affordable, because you can't afford a lawyer if you're losing your home. If home is your first priority. So somehow have the city partner with that. If there's seniors who are having difficulty because the prices of everything is going up. I forgot what that was.
Office, what do you want to accomplish?
In 4 years of office. Wow, can I dream big? Well, hopefully unity amongst whomever is on the commission at the time, and having one goal of making Tamarac the best city. Like, I'm very competitive, I'm sorry. But good competition. Personally, I will look at all the best cities in Broward and Fort Lauderdale, Broward, Florida, the nation, and compare where Tamarac stand next to the best. And if there's things that the best have that we don't, I want to bring it here. Bringing it closer to home, I definitely want more activities in technology for the kids.
So thank you everyone for waiting. Who's waiting patiently. I always want to go first or last. So thank you for coming out tonight. I'm glad for a chance to share some ideas about building a stronger, more dynamic, more responsive community that meets all of our needs. I'm originally from Pennsylvania, but after high school I went to Houston, Texas to become a commercial diver. Soon after, I joined my local union in Boston, Massachusetts to become a marine construction and pile driver. A few years later, I decided that wasn't enough. I wanted to do something different. I became a United States Air Force C-5 aircraft mechanic. I've completed over 33 missions overseas. This is the largest aircraft in the world. Now I'm a lead mechanic on F-16 down in Homestead Air Force Base. After 12 years, my Air Force career is wrapping up, but my sense of service is still growing strong, and it's made me think. Seeing the hardships that others face in developing countries gave me a greater appreciation for our potential as a country and as a city, what we have done and what we can still do together. Some of the degrees I've earned a bachelor's in economics, a master's in science and IT, a master's in business administration from Endicott College. I finished 12 graduate courses at Harvard University in Boston, Massachusetts. I delayed my graduation because of COVID, and also I started becoming a teacher at Kicia. The theme that they share is the passion for economics and building sustainable cities and communities. My current position at DCMA is I oversee military contractors. Currently I'm assigned to 75 of them, and I make sure the warfighter gets what we need and the taxpayer gets what they pay for. I'm also an adjunct professor at Kicia U. I teach IT, business, and economics. That's the easy part. This is where my life becomes fun. At home, I wrangle 2 German Shepherds, 5 rescue parrots, and a 6-year-old son named Bradley. Some of you already met him. That I should tell you that I can multitask and that I won't wilt in a crisis. But sometimes in life, to get where you're going to fly through some turbulence. Change can be bumpy. I'm going to be the catalyst for change. There are many great aspects of Tamarac. We have new parks, easy access to highways, newer neighborhoods, and newcomers rightly see us as a desirable place to live. But it will take a new mindset to turn our city in the right direction. We need to work together to become a destination for small business. We need to attract innovators and entrepreneurs. We need to grow our city sustainably. If anyone knows what that is, it's building smart and not overbuilding. One way is by filling our empty retail spaces. Simply building new shopping centers while our urban center stands idle is not the way to go. Before greenlighting new developments, we need to fully utilize what we already have, either by incentivizing commercial occupancy or redeveloping existing properties. I like to ask the crowd, where would you like to see Tamarac in 2026? I got class students. All right, I see Tamarac as a regional magnet, a place where everyone looks for dining, parks, shopping, and living. I want to invest our services in fire, BSO, public works, and others, while leaders in our community feel safe from privatization. At the same time, we must hold all accountable for our contractual obligations. We need to raise transparency, call out corruption that existed in our city's past, and find ways to cut spending and while investing each tax dollars properly. Together we can find ways to become more effective, more resilient, and find a way to make our city safer. My goal is to lower the burden of commission expenses. Let's start by cutting the car allowance, getting rid of it, removing liaisons, and going towards a tax code that makes sense. We could cut over $250 million out of our budget. Thank you for everyone that's coming out tonight. I'm a candidate for the people. You've got my word that I have your voices, and you will be represented.
Affordable housing is a hot button all over USA and beyond. What new development housing projects would you support? Will it have mandatory workforce housing included?
Alright. So currently, this was a topic in the Sun Sentinel paper. We actually had this question before. There's 33 states across the nation that do not forbid rent control and pricing. As a capitalist economy, we have to be smart the way we develop and also how we control our city's rent. There's not many spaces in Tamarac to actually do large buildings and more population than we need already. We have cities around us that continue building. We are in a city that any small space seems to be populated. As a Woodlands resident, I will tell you, I have not seen certain parts of Tamarac 4 years ago, and then I came 2 years later into the one part of the city that I didn't drive through because we were going to another part, and all of a sudden there's major apartment or townhouses. It's something that we need to change in our way to live, and that's how I am. Sustainable.
What is your greatest achievement outside of this campaign?
It's a nice one. So I'm an educator. I also hold a doctorate in education and leadership. My passion obviously is dedicated to serving students with disabilities. I've worked for Broward County Public Schools for over 20 years. But my greatest achievement is opening my small business here in Tamarac to reform education for our most vulnerable population, our students with disabilities. I'm actually working on a project where I've collaborated with the National Science Foundation, where I created a platform and a data case management system to better service that population. So that is my greatest achievement. Thank you.
The question is, how will you stay motivated in this role?
Well, being a military veteran is easy to stay motivated. I like to stay motivated by always thinking outside the box and introducing new and innovative things. I also I love research, so I feel like there's nothing new under the sun. The things that we are going through now have been gone through by other cities and states across the country. Growth is imminent. So I feel like looking at other cities, or looking at other states, and seeing how they handle certain issues and certain problems is a big proponent for me. Additionally, I believe in good spiritual, physical, and mental wellness. I'm a big supporter of that. I'm a certified yoga instructor and Zumba instructor. And so I feel like, just getting active, getting the blood flowing, keeping the brain moving, and talking to the people and listening to what they have to say, and their input for the community will keep me motivated.
Do you think Tamarac residents deserve a commission that will work together, compromise, act for residents, future residents, and businesses?
Do I think that? For sure. Absolutely, 100%. We deserve a commission that handles the tasks for the city, for the residents, that listen to the residents, that they respect their input so that they can be valued, so that we can do the task at hand. And I also want to say that while all of us are here and candidates, and I think that many of us have been endorsed by lots of different people, it's important to know that regardless of who we're endorsed by, we all run a clean campaign. And that's really great for everyone who is up here, and that's important for the commission at hand, so that when something is done, it's done appropriately and respectfully.
What would you do to stimulate arts and drama in Tamarac?
Do you want a humorous answer, or do you want but I just want to commission meeting about arts and drama right there. Anyway, basically encourage people to come out. We have a great art committee in our city. Come participate, and we try to get people to be active and involved through our art club committee. It's one of our great boards, and as you see, the art has come through our city. You see it on Knottville. We've tried 3 times to establish and show everybody our inspiration way, but we've gotten rained out or coveted out. So But it actually takes everybody to try to participate in some of the programs that we have in the city. And it would be nice if we're able to establish more through our board, being able to offer some art programs. I know we have some very talented artists in our city. That would be the answer to that. And so since I have a second or two left, all I'm just going to say is, ladies and gentlemen, thank you again for the opportunity to talk with you before us today. And do please make sure that you research us and know that sound bites are just that. There's more to us than just what we say sometimes from the podium. Thank you.
Tamarac businesses want the best after the storm plan. Will you ensure storm drainage and generators for lights is the best in the city?
Yes. So Tamarac has a great program for after a storm. In fact, when there was a small threat that the storm was going to come this way, we made the decision to cancel the city commission meeting. Staff had a lot of meetings and they kept us informed. They were lowering the drainage. Our fire and emergency unit all got together. We had plans in place in case something was going to happen. And then we partnered with FEMA ahead of time and our state emergency management system ahead of time to make sure that residents remain safe and our after event action plan moves into place right away. And it goes into why some of the residents are afraid of future development, because right now our city suffers when there are some storms. Some communities experience more flooding than others, and they're afraid that more development will weaken the infrastructure and make it harder for us to respond to challenges when it comes to the storms. Thank you.
Do you think thousands of dollars collected for public art would be better used?
The thousands of dollars for public art is, the answer, my immediate answer is yes, is I think dollars can be well spent elsewhere. I think there should be some that goes to the art community and beautifying the city, but as well as I think we have to be very cognizant of the dollars that are being spent. And can they be better used? I think eventually, yes, but it's something that we'll have to look into.
Do you think businesses should pay a higher rate for waste removal than residents?
Good question. I guess it depends on the nature of the business, nature of the residents, rates. I guess for waste removal or by the pound, I never negotiated one of those contracts, but I guess that is a place you could provide relief for the residents by charging business more, but then you're not, it's a difficult answer because then you're not nurturing business if you charge them too much. So I think it would depend on the specific circumstances. If you're talking about Tamarac, I think the rate should be administered fairly. And the city should negotiate the best deal it can on, with whoever's doing the work.
How will you review the waste collection contract? Review the waste collection contract.
Well, first of all, I'll get it, I'll read it, and and then compare it to other contracts in other cities that might have a better contract. And I always believe, I don't care how good it is, I could get it better. And see what they have to offer. That's the whole point of negotiation. See what I can get better for the city. Don't just take what's given to me. Thank you.
What would you suggest to keep or increase the quality of living in Tamarac?
Alright, so the quality of living in Tamarac can increase potentially if we would clean up our city. So we have issues with homelessness, we have issues with empty spaces of retail, we have issues with, we don't have a nightlife. We don't want a nightlife till midnight, but we want a nightlife where we can go eat dinner at a steakhouse, or we can go get Italian food in Tamarac. Currently, we have to drive to Coral Springs Fort Lauderdale Plantation to get a meal, unless you like Popeyes. No issues with Popeyes, we have two. What I would say is, we have parks, but we have a public works department that's overworked, and they're busy cleaning up after our parks. They clean up after our streets. We have a difference in community between each district. Each district is a different lifestyle. I say to some, when you drive to university, you go from a beautiful neighborhood in Coral Springs into Tamarac that looks like it needs work. We need work in a lot of areas to beautify our city, make our quality for life increase.